The vastness of the American wilderness holds secrets that no investigation can unlock. This is the case of a devoted grandmother who vanished without a trace, leaving only a final, heartbreaking letter behind. It read, "When you find my body, please call my husband George. It will be the greatest kindness for them to know that I am dead where you found me." Tonight, on Unsolved Shadows, we ask, how does a life disappear? Just 20 feet from a well-worn path? Her name was Geraldine Largay. At 66 years old, the Brentwood, Tennessee native was finally fulfilling a lifelong dream, a through hike of the entire 2,200-mile Appalachian Trail. Her trail name was Inchworm. By July 2013, Jerry had completed over 1,000 miles. She was seasoned, determined, and constantly in touch with her husband, George, who would meet her at road crossings with fresh supplies. On July 21, Jerry spent the night at the Poplar Ridge Lean-To in Maine, the most remote and rugged section of the entire trail. She had plans to meet George 2 days later. That meeting never happened. The next morning, July 22, Jerry left the shelter and continued north. The disaster was not a fall or an animal attack. It was a simple, understandable human need. Sometime around 11 a.m., Jerry stepped off the trail to use the restroom. She took her small backpack with her for privacy. When she turned to step back onto the path, the dense Maine woods had swallowed it whole. Disoriented, alone, and without her compass or map, which she'd left in her main pack, she was immediately lost. The search for the trail failed. The moment of panic had begun. Jerry Largay was now just 20 feet from help, but might as well have been 20 miles. Her first instinct was technology. She still had her cell phone, and she knew her husband was waiting. The moment of panic gave way to the slow, creeping dread of realization: no signal. The Maine wilderness was famous for cutting off communication. At about 11 a.m., Jerry composed the first desperate plea, a text message intended for George. It read, "In some trouble. Got off trail to go to BR, now lost. Can you call AMC to see if a trail maintainer can help me? Somewhere north of Woods Road." Over the next hour and a half, Jerry tried to send that message 10 more times. She climbed up rocky outcrops and high ground, burning precious calories and time in a futile attempt to reach a tower that simply didn't exist. The next day, Jerry was still moving. She was exhausted and had made the fatal error of moving away from the trail rather than trying to find a river to follow. She composed a second message, "Lost since yesterday. Off trail 3 or 4 miles. Call police for what to do, please." This message, like the first, never went through. She was already too far. She was likely disoriented and prone to confusion, according to statements later given by her original hiking partner. The search for the trail became a hopeless circle. Having failed to regain the trail, and with darkness approaching once more, Jerry made her final, rational decision: to stay put. She set up her small tent in a thick area, near a small stream where she could collect water. This was the final camp. She was alive, she had water, but she was resigned to the fact that someone else would have to find her. Jerry Largay had no way of knowing that she had just condemned herself to an agonizing 26-day wait, and that the search teams would soon come heartbreakingly close. Back in the world, panic set in quickly. When Jerry missed her scheduled rendezvous with George on July 24, he immediately notified the Maine Warden Service. A massive search began. Hundreds of people, K-9 units, search aircraft, and seasoned volunteers scoured the area. They used every resource available, focusing on the coordinates of her last known location. This search went on for days, then weeks, becoming one of the largest and most expensive search operations in Maine history. This is where the story turns truly tragic. Investigators later confirmed that, during the initial massive search, a specialized K-9 unit passed less than 100 yards from her tent. The dogs, trained to follow human scent, were likely thrown off by the dense foliage, the weather conditions, or the nearby U.S. Navy survival training facility that contained residual human scents. The tent Jerry had set up, while safe from the elements, was tucked beneath dense evergreen canopy, a logical survival choice that tragically rendered her invisible to the aerial searches passing directly overhead. The search teams eventually exhausted all leads. With no trace of Jerry, the official search was called off, days after her last journal entry. The wilderness had not killed her outright, it had simply hidden her perfectly. The consensus: Jerry Largay had been swallowed whole by the mountain, likely never to be found. For 2 years, the case remained cold. George Largay returned to the trail often, but Inchworm was gone. Until October 2015. Jerry's remains were found by a contractor performing a forestry survey, ironically, on a piece of land belonging to the U.S. Navy's Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape, or SEER, school. She was 3 miles from the trail, and her remains were found inside her collapsed tent. The medical examiner ruled the cause of death as exposure and starvation. But the true evidence was found next to her body: her mobile phone, which contained the unsent texts, and her journal. The journal's final entry was dated August 18, 2013. For 26 days, Jerry Largay documented her attempts to start fires, find the trail, and conserve her energy. Her last moments were spent writing the final note to George, a loving resignation to her fate. The tragic fate of Jerry Largay serves as a chilling reminder of the Appalachian Trail's power, and how easily simple disorientation can turn fatal. Her final resting place lay within 100 yards of the official search area, silent and perfectly concealed. The mountain kept her secret for over 2 years. The question remains: could a better plan, a louder whistle, or a simple decision to walk downhill have saved her life? What shadows still linger on that path?